Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. My name is Brother John Hargrove. I'm president for UNIA-ACL Division 421 here in Atlanta. Tonight is February 25th, 2024. This is our fourth mass meeting for this year and the second mass meeting for the month of February. Wanted to welcome everyone to the meeting, and as always, first thing we do is our pledge to the UNIA flag. So let me get a slide for that. Where's my pledge at? Okay. If you would, please come off mute. If you know the words, please say them along with me. If you don't, please say them in your head. I commit my body,
mind, and spirit
to the
to the protection, defense, and security of the red, black, and green.
I
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and the liberation of her scattered black children.
I
I accept myself and my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism, and I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people,
in order
that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail
until all black people
are
free and united. One God, one aim,
and
one
destiny.
destiny.
Race first.
Excellent job. Excellent. Okay. Just terrible today. Okay, took care of our pledge. I'll do a brief roll call. Oh no, roll call is after the rituals. We will go into our UNIA rituals. First is Greenland's from Greenland's Icy Mountain. So I will take the position of chaplain until we get that role filled, but our chaplain is the one to read our rituals. From Greenland's Icy Mountain, from Greenland's icy mountains, from India's coral strand, where Africa's sunny fountains roll down their golden sand. From many ancient rivers, from many palmy plains, they called us to deliver their land from error's chain. Shall we whose souls are lighted with wisdom from on high, shall we to men be knighted, the lamp of life deny? Salvation, O salvation, the joyful sound proclaim, till earth's remotest nation has learned Messiah's name. Waft, waft, ye winds, his story, and you, ye waters, roll, till like a sea of glory, it spreads from pole to pole. Till o'er our ransomed nation, the Lamb for sinners slain, Redeemer, King, Creator, in bliss returns to reign. So that is our opening hymn. Please forgive me. So hymn, prayer, and then shine on. Okay, I'll just do the introduction to the prayer. I'm not going to do the whole prayer for the sake of time. Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Okay. And then shine on, O eternal light. Okay. Shine on eternal light. Shine on, eternal light, to greet our souls this day, dispel the gloominess of night, and drive our doubts away. Our longing eye prepare, when war and strife shall cease, to view the morn soon to appear, the new era of peace. Thy glorious church, O God, no kingdom can remove. made without hands, this blessed abode, the harbinger of love. Okay. Of all the gifts that flow from thy great throne above, we ask thee on our hearts bestow the gift of perfect love. My soul the light receives and dares the truth to prove, not in blind ignorance believes, but know that God is love. Come, love, and give new birth to man's destructive mind. Spread where confusion reigns on earth, goodwill to all mankind. Shine on, eternal light, thy penetrating ray shall turn the hour of darkness night into eternal day. Amen. Okay. All right, so that takes care of our rituals. Now I'll go into a roll call. So for the roll call, we have myself, Brother John, President, Division 421. We have our Lady President, Sister Ra Ebony. We have Recording Secretary, Brother Art. We have our Lady Vice President, Sister Diane. We have our Council General, Attorney Imhotep. Male Vice President in Training, Brother Malik. Our Arts and Culture Coordinator in Training, Sister Cicely. Sister Adila, and a longtime supporter, Dr. Shams. So we have 10 on the call currently. All right, that's roll call. Ground rules, I don't have them up. Take notes as we are going through the lesson. The meeting will be divided into 3 sections. One, we'll talk about the topic for today, and the topic for today is the Honorable Dr. Tony Martin. Second section, we'll go into a brief officers' reports, so allow you to see the officers of Division 421, hear their voices, and get an idea of our priorities. And then for the third portion, we'll have members share. Sisters, do not provide your personal contact information. If anything, provide an email, a business email, or a business number, but not your personal phone numbers. We do not use the N-word. We record our calls for future educational purposes. And I think that's it. And enjoy yourselves. Have a good time, and hopefully we'll learn something. Any questions or comments before we get into our topic for tonight? Okay. Let me get my write up on this brother. Ooh, where did I put that? Okay, right. So I did okay. I lost it. All right, got it. Okay. Let's see. Tonight, we will be discussing the gentleman on the far right, Dr. Tony Martin. For those that were here for our February 11th meeting, we discussed the importance of the course of African philosophy. Course of African philosophy was edited by this brother here, Dr. Tony Martin. And we learned in the course of African philosophy that Dr. Tony Martin was appointed the authentic historian of the Universal Negro Improvement Association under this gentleman here, Brother Charles L. James, who was the 5th President General and 4th successor to the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So we should know Dr. Tony Martin as an important historical figure figure and the authentic historian of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Okay. This is from 2021, but you know, still good. Okay. Okay. Anthony C. Martin. And the reason why we highlight our brother around this time of year is his birthday is February 21st. So he was born on the day that Malcolm X was assassinated. So we should honor February 21st for several reasons. Anthony C. Martin, born February 21st, 1942, transitioned January 17th, 2013. Known as Professor Tony Martin, he was a historian, author, and emeritus professor of African Studies at Wesley College, Massachusetts. He is regarded as the preeminent expert on the life and works of Marcus Garvey. And remind me about the Lady President, remind me to show the new Marcus Garvey library when I finish.
Response.
Thank you. Born in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago, Professor Martin's education and work took him around the world. Let me make this a little bit larger if I can. Born in Port of Spain, Trinidad, Tobago, Professor Martin's education and work took him around the world. He qualified as a barrister at law at the Honorable Society of Grays in London in 1965. He did a BS honors degree in economics at the University of Hull, England, and Masters of Association, MA, I don't know, Masters, I don't know what that is, MA, and later a PhD in history at Michigan State University. He taught at the Cipriani Labor College, Trinidad, St. Mary's College, Trinidad, and the University of Michigan Flint before beginning his work at Wellesley College. Professor Martin taught at Wellesley from 1973 to 2007, during which time he was awarded tenure. He was a visiting professor at the University of Minnesota, Brandeis University, Brown University, and the Colorado College. Professor Martin spent a year as an honorary research fellow at the University of the West Indies, Trinidad. Professor Martin lectured in many countries. He spoke to university and general audiences all over the United States and Canada, the Caribbean, Europe, Africa, Australia, and South America. Australasia. In 1990, he delivered the annual Du Bois, Padmore, and Nkrumah Pan-African Lecture in Ghana. In 2004, he was one of the principal speakers at the first Conference of Intellectuals of Africa and the Diaspora, which was sponsored by the African Union in Senegal. Professor Martin established his own publishing company, the Majority Press, through which he published many of his own books and the work of other authors. He wrote, compiled, and or edited 14 books, including Amy Ashwood Garvey, Pan-Africanist, Feminist, and Marcus Garvey, #1, or A Tale of Two Amys, 2007. Literary Garveyism, Garvey, Black Arts and the Harlem Renaissance, 1983, and the classic study of the Garvey movement and his seminal text, Race First, the ideological and organizational struggles of Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association. That is one of our, as we get into the library, but Race First is one of our highest text, historical texts for the UNIA. Professor Martin's articles and reviews have appeared in the Journal of Negro History, Journal of African American History, American Historical Review, African Studies Review, Washington Post Book World, Journal of Caribbean History, Journal of American History, Black Books Bulletin, Jamaica Journal, Comparative Studies of South Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, and many others. Professor Martin's writings can be found in several reference works and encyclopedias, including the UNESCO General History of the Caribbean, the Oxford Dictionary, and National Biography. The Oxford Dictionary of National Biography, American National Biography, the Encyclopedia of African American Business History, International Encyclopedia of the Social Sciences, and Encyclopedia of the Harlem Renaissance. He received numerous academic and community awards, including a grant from the American Philosophical Society. Professor Martin reviewed articles and programs for scholarly journals, including the National Endowment for the Humanities and the Australian Science Fund. His biographical listings can be found in Who's Who in America, Who's Who in the World, Who's Who Among America's Teachers, Personalities, Caribbean, Who's Who Among African Americans, and elsewhere. He was also a reviewer and consultant for publishers and preserved as an expert witness for congressional hearings. Professor Martin was a featured guest on the Marcus Garvey episode of BBC Radio 4's Great Lives, which aired in 2005. Professor Martin passed away unexpectedly in Trinidad and Tobago on the 17th of January, 2013. He was 70 years old. He is survived by his son, Shabaka, who was the light of his life. And this information regarding Dr. Tony Martin comes from this website, professortonymartin.com. So, to our understanding, this website is still maintained by his family. And, we consider this a legitimate source of Dr. Tony Martin's information. So, any questions, comments on our brother, Dr. Tony Martin? I'll get the book list while we wait.
Oh, his degrees. He was a Master Arts student, and he later became a philosophical doctor, PhD.
Yes,
those are the two you missed.
Okay.
Race first.
Thank you, my brother. Race first.
President, you're showing the video now, or you're showing it at the end of the meeting?
I wasn't gonna show the whole video. The video is an hour long. The video is more so for everyone's information, unless we wanted to sit through that.
I had a question. The three giants. Who were the three giants again?
Okay, one moment. And these are specific to the course of African philosophy. I don't know if we recorded our meeting from 2 weeks ago, February 11th. So it is on our YouTube page, but we were going through. We were going through this text here. It's called Message to the People, the Course of African Philosophy. So this was written by Marcus Garvey. Charles L. James was the President General at the time it was written, and Dr. Tony Martin was the editor of that text. So in regards to the course of African philosophy, we consider these three men to be giants. Any other questions? Great question.
Brother John, this is Brother Cornelius. I tuned in late. Question though, he was old enough to have known Garvey. Did he know Garvey personally?
I don't think so. Let me double check. Let me see. What did I have?
He was born after his death.
Okay, yeah, I missed forgot the birth. So yeah, it looks like he was born 2 years after Garvey's death. So there's no direct connection. He's born 1942, Mr. Garvey transitioned 1940. But that again reinforces the importance of the previous slide. We have to understand our connection to Mr. Garvey. None of us on this call, I would think, well, most of us at least on this call, were not alive during Mr. Garvey's time. So in order for us to have some type of connection, we must rely on those that came before us. And we know from the course of African philosophy that Brother Charles L. James was a student in Mr. Garvey's first class. The course of African philosophy, which was authorized by Charles L. James, it states that Charles L. James received the highest score in that course. So Mr. Garvey taught the course. Obviously, he's the source of this information. Charles L. James completed the course under Mr. Garvey, and then Charles L. James authorized Dr. Tony Martin to compile that course for public publishing.
Okay, so that's what they mean by edited. Because I was thinking if he edited it, that would have been Garvey wrote it and then he edited it. But you mean he took the information and compiled it into the way we have it in the book now?
He edited, to my understanding, the as far as how it was compiled, the lessons being in the orders that they're in, that all came from Mr. Garvey. I would say Dr. Tony Martin, as an editor, any grammar mistakes, he cleaned up what Garvey had already laid down. But Mr. Garvey is credited as the author of that text.
Okay.
And I would suggest something also. This is Brother Morima.
I know you was Brother Kamal, right? Well,
yeah, right. Yeah, Morima Kamal. Yes, sir.
How you doing, brother? I saw you jump in. I'm waiting for you to, go ahead. What you get?
Yeah. Well, Dr. Tony, I was kind of protege of Dr. Tony Martin in many ways, and was a good friend. He was the one that first gave me the title official historian for the UNIA. Actually, that's the story behind that. But yeah, I don't know if you mentioned it earlier because I'm just getting on kind of late, but the course of African philosophy was authorized by the Honorable Charles L. James, and he selected Dr. Tony Martin to print it because at that time he didn't want to have it printed. He wanted it to remain the private training manual for leaders of the UNIA. But unfortunately, at that time, there's a gentleman named Robert Hill who published the bound volumes, and he had gotten in touch with, he was giving a lecture up in Detroit, and one of the members in Detroit was the grandchild of the Honorable James Stewart, President General, from back, before back in the 60s, I would say he was President General up until 64. But anyway, one of his grandsons was at the lecture, and he had, offered to bring Charles L. James to Liberia to meet the Stewart family. And so, not Mr. James, he offered Mr. Hill to come there. So anyway, Robert Hill went to Liberia and got to meet the family, got all these pictures and a lot of history. And while he was there, they allowed him to have the course of African philosophy as part of the collection they gave him from Mrs. Stewart. So when word got back that Hill was going to publish during the centennial, he was going to publish in his Life and Lessons, the course of African philosophy, rather than let him publish it and put some misinformation in there. Mr. James felt that he would beat him to the punch, steal his thunder, and have Dr. Tony Martin publish it. So it was kind of a competition thing that was going on at the time. And if you actually look at the two books, both of them have the course. There's actually some differences between the one that was Mr. Stewart he gave to Robert Hill, and the one that Dr. Tony Martin wrote. Small differences, but differences nonetheless. So that's kind of an interesting fact that someone may want to take notice and do a page by page analysis of that at some point. And those it was a lot of history with that school, and I at some point wanted to do some work on. I kind of did a little small bio on some of the graduates of the first class, and I was going to do one on a couple of the graduates, some of the graduates of the second class that were quite notable. And, kind of compile like, the early disciples or apostles of the gospel of Garveyism. But I'm probably still going to do that because I'm working on, y'all know I'm a book man. So I got 100 books like Dr. Tony Martin that I'm working on. But one of them is going to be a who's who of the UNIA from its origin till the present. And so I want to kind of profile some of the most prominent members who gave their lives to the cause. And, at least they'll be recognized and celebrated, in some form or fashion if we at least know who they are to begin with.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, just wanted to offer that little tidbit.
Thank you, Brother Kamal. That's a big tidbit. A lot of good information, and again, that's why we have to have these relationships. There's no way to get this information unless you're involved or unless you have been a part of that history. So, Brother Kamal, thank you very much. And I want to go to something that relates to what you said, because you just solidified the reasoning as to why Honorable Charles L. James opened this up for publishing. And let me see something. Let me see if I got the original. So you mentioned an oath. And this comes from, this is accredited to Sister Eleanor White out of Chicago, but and this is not in the blue and white text. This is in, I guess, the version that Brother Stewart provided. But in that text, there is an oath to the School of African Philosophy. And part of that oath is that, I'll go here, I shall never divulge or reveal any of the lessons I received to anyone, and shall never allow the lessons or records thereof to fall into the hands of anyone, and shall safeguard the same with my life from falling into the hands of other races. So in its inception, as Brother Kamal said, this was taught as a secret set of lessons. It was never intended to be shared with the public. But then when we get down to, give me a second, I had it, but I just moved around, so now I gotta go find it again. Here. As Brother Kamal said, we talked about this last week as well. Who was appointed the authentic historian of the life and works of Marcus Garvey, and who appointed him? So in Message to the People, Course of African Philosophy, this would be page XII 12 of the, this is the foreword by Honorable Charles L. James. He states, and this is a quote, "He is the only surviving graduate at the time of the first class. It is important," he felt, "for him to protect the interest of those who preceded him into eternity." And that would include Mr. Garvey. And this is why I was talking about what Brother Kamal said, because this is something that I questioned, but you made clear. He says, "And knowing that there are forces that are trying to distort history." So you mentioned Robert Hill and the UNIA papers. That was compiled at the same time. And while that was being compiled, part of that was Course of African Philosophy was included in that. So as Brother Kamal said, in order to beat Mr. Robert Hill to the punch, because these lessons were going to be made public, the Honorable Charles L. James appointed Brother Tony Martin to make sure he does it in a way that is approved by the Universal Negro Improvement Association. So he says, "I hereby authorize Dr. Tony Martin, who has been recognized and appointed the authentic historian of the life and works of the Honorable Marcus Garvey by the Universal Negro Improvement Association in convention, to publish the written document with the understanding that the right be preserved for future generations, which is the charge of Honorable Marcus Garvey." So just trying to bring that full circle. These lessons were meant to be private, but they were going to be made public. So the UNIA made sure that there was a certified, legitimate copy of these lessons. But that's getting into Dr. Tony Martin's works and not, him as a man. So any other questions, comments on Dr. Tony Martin? And I'll
Did,
try to
did you
find
talk much about any of his other works, or was primarily on the course?
it. 1 second. So we were focusing. I'm trying to get my email right because I was trying to pull up the new Marcus Garvey library. Would be
Yeah.
the focus of the information we want to bring forward. Obviously, he is a decorated author, and there's more than just 7 texts that he wrote or he's responsible for. But we'll focus on the new Marcus Garvey library.
Yeah, he had a lot of powerful. I can see where he was going with the library. The materials he was trying to bring out. Dr. Tony Martin had a plan, and he always had a point that he was trying to make. Like, if you look at literary Garveyism, he had a discussion with Dr. Henry Louis Gates about the author of the Harlem Renaissance, being Marcus Garvey. And Gates had felt that it was Alain Locke who had wrote The New Negro in 1925. But, Dr. Tony Martin dated, the inspiration and the organization of, the masses around this new thought as being credited, primarily to Mr. Garvey. So he decided to write a book and do his dissertation and put together an effective argument. And after he published the book, he gave a copy to Skip Gates, and Gates agreed with him that Mr. Garvey was the father of the Harlem Renaissance, which was a big concession on his part. But that's a tribute to Dr. Tony Martin, who always wanted to, kind of dignify the intellectual accomplishments in history and certify that Mr. Garvey could not have organized such a constructive and productive, movement for improvement of, in that level of millions of people, employing thousands of people, and organizing the widest circulating Black newspaper in the world in several languages, etc., and also been a fool at the same time, as history would try to characterize him. So, Dr. Tony Martin came at a time when Cronin and a bunch of other clowns were trying to make Mr. Garvey seem foolish or imitating some kind of white man like Billy Sunday or somebody. And they were, using poor sources, and, they had a lot of misinformation they were circulating, and the prevailing impression of Mr. Garvey was quite negative. And Hill came along and continued that same game, even though many had high hopes for him, because he used to come over to the elders' houses, smile in their face, give them roses, and tell them how nice they looked, and take all their information. And then when it came time to print it, he wouldn't print anything positive or anything definitive from Mr. Garvey or the UNIA. He would only print negative reports from FBI, military intelligence, and all these kinds of clowns and all the rival organizations, and make it seem like Garvey was an idiot. So, Tony Martin's work came, and he had a lot more rational, objective, opinion of Mr. Garvey that was more defensive than that of the others who came before him. Even though people like Elton Fax and Ted Vincent had tried, but they didn't do a definitive history. They kind of focused on, like, Vincent with the, kind of continued after Amy with the Black Power and the Garvey movement. He did his thing, following her work. And then even Dr. Clark, he was a Garveyite. He trained under Willis Huggins back in his day, who was a commissioner for the UNIA. And he used to write for the University of Ethiopian Student Association's newspaper, The African. So he was kind of grounded in, Garveyism, even though he kind of went socialistic after that and came back around to Garveyism. But he was, his book on, the Garvey movement that Amy helped edit, was useful in turning the image around a little bit. But Dr. Tony Martin's book, that did the trick. That's the one that really changed the narrative. And, it's hard, even though Dr. Tony Martin wasn't the greatest when it comes to some of his citations, he was the greatest when it comes to his scholarship, and he documented everything. And what I mean by the citations is, if you look at his Race First, he has a lot of citations or endnotes in there, but none of them have page numbers, so, those who go behind him and look at Negro World, August 16, 1923, they're going to look and say, well, what page was this article and what was this quote from? You got to go through the whole newspaper to find the quote where, he could have put the article title, who wrote it, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, some little things that he was great in some ways, human in others. But yeah, he was great. I remember when I first met him, but if I can give a little quick tale about Dr. Martin. When I shortly after I met him, we talked a few times. I had asked him about this play that was performed by the UNIA back in the 20s, 1922 to be exact, called Talaboo. And I think it's in Literary Garveyism where they talked about Talaboo as being one of the plays that best exemplified the ideals of the UNIA, even though it wasn't written by a UNIA member. It was written by a black judge out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky. But anyway, some of the Postons knew about the play and they decided to bring it to they were from Kentucky, the former Secretary General Robert Lincoln Poston. But anyway, he brought it to Harlem and they performed it at the UNIA and great reviews in the Negro world. So I know he wrote a lot about it. So I asked him, had he ever seen a copy of the play? And he's like, man, I've been looking for that play for 30 years. I can't find it. So I said, okay. Next day I went to the Library of Congress and gave him an email. Said, here's the play. He's like, what? That's he's like, man, you so bad, brother. But anyway, that's kind of, funny. He and our relationship kind of was like that because, he cleared the underbrush and laid the foundation so that it makes my work easier, and technology has improved and changed so that you can hit a search button and find things now that you couldn't find that easily before. So, it's good to have this kind of historical exchange of knowledge so that we all can have, whatever I can provide and offer people, the next generation of historians can come behind and say, oh man, we got all this information. We can add to it and get things he never even found and kind of add it to the body or the canon of, Garvey history. But yeah, Tony Martin was helpful, skillful, serious, serious brother, who used always, I remember but the first time I met him, I asked him a bunch of questions and he kind of was insulted and kept asking me, did you read my book, brother? I was like, well, what about this and that? He said, that should be page 326 and raised first. Didn't you read my book? Wow. I'm like, yeah, but okay, well, what about this? And he would say, yeah, and that should be in this book. Didn't you read it? And I was like, oh, okay, let me start reading everything thoroughly before I come to him and ask him questions he already answered. But that's kind of how serious he was with it. He had a leaning for a lot of Trinidadian people. You'll notice if you start to look at some of his work, but because he's from Trinidad. But yeah, he was a very sharp scholar. I'm still trying to talk to his wife who's in Guyana now to try to get some of his access to some of his collection that he held on to. A lot of the elders who had interviews with Mr. Harvey and all kinds of things from back in the 60s and 70s, footage, photos, everything. A lot of them gave it to Dr. Tony Martin. And since he passed, no one's been able to retrieve that collection. That should be a primary objective of the UNIA.
Yes, sir.
They respect him so highly. But anyway, that's my little 2 cents just thinking about Dr. Martin.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, brother. Come out, brother. Attorney Imhotep, I do see your hand. One second. You gave us a lot of good information, and you ended with a good point. That is our responsibility to reclaim these documents and this information. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go to Attorney Imhotep. As I do, just wanted to re-ground everyone on what we're doing. We are discussing the life of the Honorable Dr. Tony Martin, the official historian of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Oh, snap. That's not what I wanted. 1 second. I did want to share one thing before we continued. What did I do with that? Okay, here we go. So the reason why we are discussing Dr. Tony Martin today, as we said, his birthday just passed. February 21st was the date of his birth. And Mr. Garvey teaches us one of his core philosophies and core teachings is that we must honor our own people. But he says we must canonize our own saints. Let me start from the top. Fellow men of the Negro race, greetings. The time has come for the Negro to forget and cast behind him his hero worship and adoration of other races and to start out immediately to create and emulate heroes of his own. We must canonize our own saints, create our own martyrs, and elevate to positions of fame and honor Black men and women who have made their distinct contributions to our racial history. Sojourner Truth is worthy of place of sainthood alongside of Joan of Arc. Crispus Attucks and George William Gordon are entitled to halo of martyrdom with no less glory than that of the martyrs of any other race. Toussaint Louverture's brilliancy as a soldier and statesman outshone that of Cromwell, Napoleon, and Washington. Hence, he is entitled to the highest place as a hero among men. Africa has produced countless numbers of men and women in war and in peace, whose luster and bravery outshine that of any other people. Then why not see good and perfection in ourselves? So we honor these principles by honoring our great historian, Dr. Tony Martin. Attorney Imhotep, you got a question, comment?
Yes, thank you. Your reading earlier concluded that Dr. Martin was survived by his son, and it didn't mention a widow or wife. And I don't know, I may have missed part of what Brother Kamal was stating. I think he said he was speaking of Dr. Martin's widow, and I may be mistaken, so I wanted to clear that up. But I remember one of our recent past guest speakers spoke and was critical of, he also said Dr. Martin's wife or widow. And I got the impression that she was not of the race, and that there was a problem. They was trying to get Dr. Martin's papers, and they were unable to, and the reason was because of the widow who was practicing race first for her race. Yeah, that's the impression I got. So I was trying to clarify that and to get it.
If you want me to respond. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, well, it is true. After he died, and she, she wasn't gonna allow the company to publish. And yeah, his wife Paloma Muhammad, she actually did a children's book on Marcus Garvey. I think Man Called Garvey, I think was the title. But yeah, she was East Indian descent from Trinidad. But yeah, they were married. Yeah, he married outside the race, but she had been less than supportive in the beginning of continuing, and then over time, I know Paul Coates at Black Classic Press in Baltimore had communicated with her and got the rights to publish a few of Dr. Tony Martin's works, Majority Press. And I don't know which specific ones all together, because it wasn't all of them, but a few of the ones like Race First, and I think Literary Garveyism and Poetic Works, maybe Pan-African Connection. But it was anyway, it's a few of them that he had the right to republish. I don't know if he's actually republished them or not, but yeah, that was available. But according to, there was a symposium recently held last week on Dr. Tony Martin, and one of the gentlemen who was sponsoring that had been in communication with Dr. Martin's son and I think his nephew that lives in the States. And they hadn't reached out to his widow, but she's a provost, I think, at some university in Guyana right now. But from what I understand, maybe her position has changed. I'm not sure, but she was not, that hospitable to the continuation of the publication, in the beginning. So yeah, that information seems pretty solid. And what else? Well, I guess that's pretty much answer. That should answer your question.
Attorney Motep, does that help provide some information?
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. That's very enlightening, and that was the depiction that our speaker had given us, that she was the problem, and your background and insight with him is rewarding to hear and enlightening. Yeah, thank you. Race first.
Yes, race first. I think in regards to guest speaker, you're probably talking about Brother Kamal. We haven't had many guest speakers, and especially ones that speak directly to UNIA and the history. I would assume that Brother Kamal is the one that you are remembering.
Yeah, you know, I don't remember talking about it, but you know, something else I always wondered. Well, I did always. I actually wrote an article about it, but I never really promoted the article. But you know, one thing I always thought about the School of African Philosophy is that originally it was 42 lessons, and you know, thinking of course 42 principles of Mayat, and then you think about, you know, Mr. Garvey's, one of his pivotal writings was "A Man Knows Thyself," which is written on the pyramid, you know, in you know, Giza and, you know, other places, but you know, and not only man knows thyself in the 42, but even ostrich feathers on his hat, which is a symbol of Mayat. When they put an ostrich feather on the scale and put your heart on the other side, and see if your heart is light as a feather, etc. But it seemed like from some of his writings, you know, about ancient Kemet, and there are quite a few of them, that he was somehow channeling Mayat when he talked about, you know, he communing with the ancestors and them, you know, kind of showing him things. You know, always kind of felt, as one elder kind of pointed out to me, that he was of the opinion that Mr. Garvey spiritually traveled somehow to a glorious African past, and kind of came back to seeing how we can restore that to an African future. And so, you know, they kind of gave Mr. Garvey his marching orders and were guiding him through that process. But, you know, communing with the ancestors is something that wouldn't be uncommon to a man of Maroon descent, as well as you know, the fact that you know, even when he storm or the Orisha, to conjure up the natural forces or the, you know, acts of God, you know, people will call them, you know, the wind, the water, you know, be able to command those elements and use them for the benefit of the living. It's a vibe, the channel. And you know, where these things actually come from, you know, I'm not the, you know, spiritualist who can define exactly how, but it's just some interesting things that, you know, if you are mindful, you know, they may need to be explored at some point, to show that, you know, what we're dealing with here is a spiritual force. And Mr. Garvey always said he was on a mission from the Most High God, and yeah, you know, he didn't play. He was a miracle worker.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I mean, we do have to consider that, you know, when we look at the accomplishments that he was able to do in his time, and the somewhat, yeah, I wasn't gonna say impossibility, I'm not gonna say that, but the difficulty that we've had since his time to be able to reproduce what he's done, and no one has come close. So he obviously he had some special direction. I'll just put it that way. Sister Adila, I do see your hand.
I may speak?
Yes.
Yes. While when you I'm going to ask a question, and while you're answering it, if you could please share your camera, share your screen back to where you had the new Marcus Garvey Library, and you had number of books.
Sure.
Okay. So my question is, you mentioned Paloma Muhammad as Marcus Garvey's wife, and I see one of the books on that library, Marcus Garvey Library, is Amy Ashwood Garvey, Pan-Africanist, feminist, and wife number one, and that's how the book was featured. So which of the wives came first, last?
Okay, let me clarify that. We were talking about Dr. Tony Martin's wife.
Oh, okay. That's
Brother,
Paloma Muhammad.
Yes, Marcus Garvey was married to Amy Ashwood Garvey, and then he married Amy Jocks Garvey. So he had two wives in his both named Amy.
Okay, and you're going to put on your screen the new Marcus Garvey library that had the listing of books.
Yes, getting ready to go now.
Thank you.
There you go.
Right. And if you could bring it up, like 10, 11, 12, those ones on the bottom. Yes.
Let me just read it, and I'll make sure you have access to everything. So
okay.
This document is provided by the Universal Negro Improvement Association, High Executive Council parent body. This document is part of our parent body orientation, but it's an orientation course that is provided by our leadership, but all divisions are encouraged to attend, and it's actually a requirement to attend and complete this orientation in order to participate on High Executive Council, or in order to be qualified to participate on High Executive Council. That's the current setup. But this document, we call this book listings. This Marcus Garvey Library. The collection of Marcus Garvey Library will be mandatory collection at all divisions. Chairpersons for the Education Committee in each division will use their discretion on how to manage the lending procedure of such material to the members. So all divisions should have at least these books in the library. The new Marcus Garvey Library itself, I originally thought it was 7. Brother Kamal, you may know better than me, but the new Marcus Garvey Library currently consists of 9 texts. 1 is Literary Garveyism by Dr. Tony Martin. 2 is the Poetical Works of Marcus Garvey, so that's by Marcus Garvey. Number 3 is Marcus Garvey Hero, a First Biography by Dr. Tony Martin. Number 4, Amy Ashwood Garvey, Pan-Africanist, Feminist, and Wife Number 1. Number 5, African Fundamentalism by Dr. Tony Martin. Number 6, Pan-African Connection, From Slavery to Garvey and Beyond by Dr. Tony Martin. Number 7, and the last 3 are actually the ones that we focus on the most here at Division 421. Number 7 is Message to the People, The Course of African Philosophy by Marcus Garvey. Number 8 is Race First by Dr. Tony Martins. And number 9 is Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey by Amy Jocks Garvey. They have recently, and when I say they, us, the UNIA leadership has recently added some other texts to this collection. Number 10, The Irritated Genie by Dr. Jacob Carruthers. Number 11, Destruction of Black Civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams. 12, African-Centered Consciousness versus New World, Garveyism in the Age of Globalism by Dr. Amos Wilson. And number 13, Marcus Garvey, The UNIA Papers, Volume 1 through 10 by Robert Hill. So this is what our UNIA-ACL leadership considers the newest Marcus Garvey Library.
So, President, they don't have the tragedy of white injustice on there either? Like, that's not...
I thought that was a poem. That's a book?
I thought it was a book of poems. I thought
is that a poem by Marcus Garvey? Because it made me in the Poetical Works.
It still might have been a part of the library, though. But it's by Marcus Garvey when he was in Atlanta, when he was in the federal penitentiary in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's the name of a series of poems he did. Well,
yeah.
It's about 45 stanzas, but yeah, it's a huge poem. But there's the book produced called Tragedy of White Injustice. But yeah, it is in the Poetic Works of Marcus Garvey. The first chapter is the whole poem, one big long poem. But yeah, so kind of yes and yes. But Tony Martin, I don't think actually produced a book called Tragedy. But there are some other ones that he did also that are heavily, they're not centered around Mr. Garvey. I mean, maybe Paloma's book, but I guess he didn't put that in the library. But also the Pan-African connection is kind of saturated with Garvey, as well as the economic future of the Caribbean kind of throws a bit of, stuff in there. A lot of Garvey's, Mr. Garvey's underlings, so to speak, or people who were once officers in the UNIA, and people influenced by the UNIA, kind of, discussing the future of the Caribbean. People like, what's the dude, president of, name escapes me. But anyway, like Charles Pettione, who was president of Philly Division and later vice president of the UNIA Incorporated, after they split from the UNIA in 29. But then, other people, Eric Williams, Trinidad, and other folks who were Garveyites, and they're talking about, Mr. Garvey's view of certain things. But anyway, it's not totally directly on Mr. Garvey, but, Tony Martin, anything he produced was going to be some kind of way connected to the UNIA. But yeah, he has a lot of great publications. But I'm surprised that, well, there's a lot of, I have about 100 something books on the Garvey movement, at least about 40 of them just on the children's books. But there's a lot of great books that wouldn't be on that list. And Hill papers can be useful. That's more of a reference book. Nobody's gonna really read that as a book for consumption. There's some other, books I'm trying to work on myself that, hopefully add to that, canon. But yeah, there's a lot of great ones. Randall Burkett, believe it or not, right there where he was in Atlanta anyway, at Emory. He got 2 great books on the Garvey movement, Black Redemption, Churchmen Speak for the Garvey movement, and the Institutionalization of a Civil Religion book. Got the exact title. But anyway, he was a white guy. And, him, Ted Vincent, Theodore, what's his name? Cornweevil. And a few of the white folks, but not Judith Stein, but, a few of the white folks actually wrote impressively well, even though they were still somewhat partial and limited in their understanding. But it was, even Mary Rowlandson, amongst the white writers who write about the Garvey movement in a more fair way than somebody like Cullen Grant, who, trying to write negatively, and certainly like, the white guy Cronin and some others. But there's a lot of decent ones that you will learn different things from, depending on what your interest is in, studying the movement. Is it the FBI's infiltration and investigation? Is it dealing more with the rivalry of the UNIA with different organizations? Or is it dealing with the philosophy itself? Is it dealing with this and that? So, I think it would be good even to have a history club that corresponds, different divisions, so that local divisions can have local histories of their divisions. Like I'm be doing exhibits in DC, because at one point DC had 1,000 members in their division back in the 20s, and had some prominent people that lives that'll blow your mind. But the more we kind of unearth some of the local successes of the Garvey movement, it just builds to the image of how powerful the whole empire was. And that, the Harlem Renaissance was a Garvey Renaissance. It wasn't just a local phenomenon, even though Harlem was the largest Black community in the world at that time. But, but it was a worldwide Renaissance, that Mr. Garvey was waking people up. So, the more we study that, the more it gives ability to his influence globally. So, anyway.
Yes, sir. And that's thank you, Brother Kamal. That's exactly what tonight is about. We are, right on time, right on schedule. We're celebrating the greatest historian of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and that is where we should have a focus. We should, as Marcus Garvey says this in Course of African Philosophy. The very first lesson of that text is titled Intelligence, Understanding, or Intelligence Education, Universal Knowledge, and How to Get It. And the focus of that lesson is really about knowing history, specifically the history of man, is what Mr. Garvey says. But our foundational base of knowledge, according to Mr. Garvey, should be based in history. And who better to provide that for us in this time in 2024 than our very own historian, Dr. Tony Martin. So I don't have anything else. Anyone else have anything on Dr. Tony Martin? No, nothing. Everybody good? Everybody. We got our book list, and again, he created the Majority Press. So that was his publishing company. All right. If there aren't any other questions, concerns, we will move to the next section of the agenda. Pardon me. Okay. Let's see. Section. Okay. Another thing that we learn in course of African philosophy is that we have responsibility to request dues. And Mr. Garvey says that we should request dues after the most emphatic part of the speech. And for our mass meetings, I consider that after our main topic for the most part. Let me find. So this slide here, for those that would like to pay their dues or make a contribution, please do so. cbpm.org/421 funds. We have a Cashapp $UNIA 421 fund, paypal.me/UNIA 421. Joining fee $10. We would like to get everyone to knock out that joining fee. That does a lot to open up our lines of communication. There are some things in the UNIA that are limited to active officers. In order to obviously be an active officer, you need to, knock out the joining fee. So that's a one-time $10. You never have to worry about that again. Then $3 a month takes care of your monthly contribution. So just a general request and reminder for everyone to please pay your dues. And I actually wanted to touch on that as to why it's important for us to pay our dues. I'm going to add this as a recurring slide. All right, message to the people.
Yeah, just leave it up the whole meeting.
You talk about the fund request?
Yes, sir.
I got you. Thank you, Brother Malik. I know where it is. I don't even have to. I was about to try to Google it or page. I'll let y'all see as we. So this is Course of African Philosophy. Mr. Garvey's training for officers that will carry on the work after his transition. And I don't know if I got it on this book, honestly. Yeah, this is that free version. No. Bear with me one moment. So why are dues so important in the concept of organization? And again, we talked about this when we started out. We said we need political strength, we need economic strength, and I said organizational strength. But I believe organization overlaps all of those. If we can organize our politics, then we will have political strength, because we already do have political strength. We have 40 million of our people in America. I would say 30 million plus that have the right to vote. So if we organize those rights to vote, or these votes, that is political power. We have over 1.5 trillion dollars that we produce on an annual basis. If we organize that economy, we would become powerful. Mr. Garvey says on one of his later pages, this is in lesson 21. It's called the history of the UN. No, I think this may be the 5-year plan. I don't know. It's one of the last lessons. But Mr. Garvey says established nations and governments get their revenue from taxes levied on the citizens. The Negro, having no government, cannot raise such revenue for such a purpose in that way. So we can't force people to pay their dues. We don't have a military. We don't have a IRS tax revenue system to force people to withdraw people's funds. So Mr. Garvey says, hence, those who desire such a thing, so those who desire a government for our people must be voluntary contributors. That's the main point that I wanted to make. So I'll pull that out and I'll add that to that slide. And we will proceed with our meeting. Questions, comments, concerns? Everybody good on how to pay dues and the importance of paying dues? And it got that's crazy. Okay, with that taken care of, we will roll into our officers portion. One thing I want to do for officers portion, have a standing update for this, is to include our preamble. So I'll read our preamble, and then we will go into officers' reports. A Constitution. Restart my computer. I'm not gonna do it right now, but having trouble opening PDFs. I know something's going on. But I have another copy. Constitution. Okay. This Constitution of the UNIA-ACL as of 2021. Some things have changed, some things have not changed. One of the things that has not changed is the preamble. Preamble of the UNIA-ACL Constitution states that the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League is a social, friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, institutional, constructive, and expansive society, and is founded by persons desiring to the utmost to work for the general uplift of the Negro peoples of the world. And the members pledge themselves to do all in their power to conserve the rights of their noble race and to respect the rights of all mankind, believing always in the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. The motto of the organization is one God, one aim, one destiny. Therefore, let justice be done to all mankind, realizing that if the strong oppresses the weak, confusion and discontent will ever mark the path of man, but with love, faith, and charity towards all, the reign of peace and plenty will be heralded into the world, and the generations of men shall be called blessed. Okay, so that is our preamble to our Constitution, and going into member or officer reports. I'll start first, obviously, as president. Yeah, okay. My report, or what I want to share, my focus as of right now, is our international headquarters in Philadelphia. Behind the scenes, our officers, we're working to make sure we have an understanding of our responsibilities. Again, that organizing component. Everyone here understands or at least is attracted to that concept of organizing, and that's why we're here. There's another level of what we consider leadership. So once we come together, we see something that we like, we become members, we become active members, pay dues, contribute to the movement, and then we get the realization that, hey, I want to help to guide the direction of the movement. So that's where we are now, is with our newer members as well as myself. We're getting regrounded on our bylaws. So we'll have an executive meeting first Saturday in March. And it'll be somewhat of a first meeting of this new body, because it'll still be the same individuals, but as far as an understanding of our responsibilities and who will be carrying out future responsibilities, today this will be the last time the division looks the way it does and performs the way it does. Next mass meeting will be the first time that we as an official executive body, we show the community our roles and responsibilities of our offices. But again, my responsibility is Philadelphia headquarters. And with that, I need to let everyone know that the UNIA has a fundraiser going right now. Let me pull up the email for that, and I'll read that to everyone so that we are clear. And I think I did this last week, but this is my focus for right now. As president of 421 and a representative for our district, when we have president's calls, things like that, high up meetings, the main discussion is headquarters. And I probably need to get this letter. I'll probably get this letter sent out. I need to send it out before the end of the month. So this letter was sent by our leadership January 28, 2024. Says, greetings, Garveyites. The UNIA International Headquarters Restoration Committee is working hard. We are making significant and major progress. The total building restoration will cost $500,000 to $1 million. The fundraising for the international headquarters is ongoing. There are many ways you can support these efforts. The first is by supporting raffles and other fundraising events. We have started another all-division raffle. Our goal is to raise at least $25,000 by HEC. HEC is in April, so we've got a little over a month. By HEC. We are asking each member to take/sell a minimum of 10 raffle tickets. Officers of Division 421, I'm asking us to be responsible for 50 raffle tickets each. The prizes are $1,500 and $250. So the raffle tickets are $5 each, or you can get 5 raffle tickets for $20. And again, each raffle ticket is an opportunity to win up to $1,000. The division selling the winning tickets will receive 20% of the prize sold. The raffle tickets are $5 each, or 5 tickets for $20. The drawing will be April 12th at our HEC conference in Philadelphia. So encouraging everyone to participate. And obviously anyone that has done raffles before should know that the fewer people that participate, the better your chances are of winning. Let your division president or secretary know how many tickets you would like. Otherwise, you will receive only 10. Raffle tickets are being sent out next week. We would like to congratulate Gladstone Holler Division 451 in Los Angeles, California, for having the highest percentage of member participation in this raffle. So 100% of our members in Los Angeles, California participated in the last raffle. Another way to get support is by using the attached donation letter. So that's the letter I'll need to be sending out. I'll probably send that out at the 1st of March. Asking family, friends, organizations to you support and businesses you use to give the UNIA to the UNIA International Headquarters restoration effort. The last way you can support is by making a donation or a loan to the building fund. We thank you for your pledges and the funds we have received. Those funds have helped us repair the roof, the floor, the exterior wall, and do many other things. If you have an outstanding pledge, please honor it if you can. Every donation is important. We want you to come to the HEC conference and see the work for yourself. Help us in preserving our holy ground, the international headquarters. What man has done, man can do. Honorable Marcus Garvey. So, I'll just close out with this. I'll put the So if you're interested in the raffle, you can reach out to me at this time. Again, officers, this will be part of our March update. So you should expect to receive some raffles tickets soon. But you can reach us 678-931-9404. You can email me, john.c.hargrove@gmail. And we can make discussions and make arrangements for the exchange. So, questions, comments on anything that I've shared? Okay. Lady President, do you have anything that you would like to share with our membership?
Absolutely. Greetings, family. I am the Lady President of the Julius Naive CBPM Division 421 in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am Sister of our Ebony Ashley. For this month of reports, I'm looking forward to, first of all, greetings to the new members and congratulations to the new members in training. I look forward to meeting you and doing more work with you. It's going to be, an exciting year. And moving forward on that note, moving forward out of the Message to the People course of African philosophy. We do it yearly, every term. So if you missed it this term, just look forward to it for next term. Also following the course of African philosophy, looking forward to the study of the Constitution, the study of the Constitution with the upcoming HEC conference, correct? HEC conference coming up in April that President and I will be attending. And we are encouraging the membership to, if you can come, but just know for sure and for certain that your president and lady president will be in attendance and representation of Division 421 in Philadelphia. And then, of course, and follow up in August. I think that was in New York, if I'm not mistaken. But that's to come. So yeah, getting to know your UNIA family, getting to know the concepts of the UNIA-ACL and all that it has to offer, and all the roles that it has, and what you can bring to your government is what we're focusing on and our division. So please definitely continue to engage and learn with us as we continue to pull this education out for everybody to be enlightened and to know their government. So welcome again. What else I wanted to touch on before I signed it back again? We will be getting into the Constitution, which I'm very, very excited to be getting into, because it's one thing to be a part of your Black government, but it's another thing to know it, so that you will be able to participate and give your voice, and not just vote in the your local federal government, but also in your Black government, and know how to exercise your rights in both capacities. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to hearing your voices and sharing those lessons with you all, getting together with you all on that note. And And I think that's it. President, I do want to get with you about the calendar. Juneteenth, summertime, looking forward to that. But like I said, for these months from January to I think August, January to August, we're going in full study mode where we're just in pure development. Like President said, we just came out of African courses of African philosophy, message to the people, and we're going into the Constitution and so on and so forth. And then we'll jump back into the events back in August. Well, June, really, because we have Juneteenth. And then after Juneteenth, we have Garvey Day. We have the whole month of Garvey. We like to celebrate August, the whole month of Garvey. And then we go on from there, and we'll share that in time. But for now, I look forward to learning and growing with each and every one of you. So thank you so much for coming and engaging with us with your time. And I love each and every one of you. Race first. Back to you, President.
Race first. Thank you. Excellent report, Lady President. And just to recap a couple of those points, for those that are new, just now joining, it is an interesting time. It is an interesting time to be a part of UNIA Division 421. We are preparing to go full speed, and this will be pretty much the first time we as a division have done this, to where we have had a leadership that is not only capable to carry out their responsibilities, but knowledgeable to carry out their responsibilities. And I don't, and I mean that on, to give Ross Marvin credit, beyond the president, lady president, and vice presidents. We have to have a executive body, a full executive body that not only understands the principles of the course of African philosophy, but also understands the structure and the design of our Constitution. And as Lady President said, at the end of February, we will have completed a 6-month training of the course of African philosophy. So a majority of our officers coming out of this training will have expressed a level of competence of that course. The very next thing that we're going to be discussing is our Constitution. And we're discussing our Constitution in preparation for one of our largest meetings of the year, the second largest meeting of the UNIA of the year, and that's High Executive Council. So when it comes to, as Lady President said, when it comes to our roles, our position as members and as Garveyites, Garvey teaches us to be self-reliant and self-determining. We have to develop ourselves and our community and our people to the ability to be able to represent themselves. And that is what HEC and convention really culminate to. So my point is, if we really, really want to know how the UNIA works, these meetings are great. Our study groups are great. The Constitution study groups will be excellent. Message to the People, excellent. Philosophies and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, excellent. Even the UNIA papers can give you a great idea of the history of the UNIA. But when it comes to the reality of how the UNIA functions today and how the UNIA will function in the future, that will be determined by individuals that attend High Executive Council and Convention. So I just want to, remind you, if we really want to know about the UNIA in our time and how it works, we have to be able to attend High Executive Council and Convention. And I'm just speaking from experience. Lady President has experience. Attorney Imhotep has experience. That is the purest form of Garveyism or practice of Garveyism that you can find. So I just encourage us all to become accustomed with these meetings of High Executive Council and Convention, and as Garveyites really plan to attend the next meeting that you're available to attend at your convenience. But thank you again, Lady President. Okay.
Pleasure. Race first.
Race first. All right, we'll jump back over to our brothers. Brother Malik, anything that you'd like to share on behalf of our vice presidents?
No, we're going to flesh it out on the executive meeting and share next time.
Okay. Any hints or anything, any teasers you can give to the people to make sure they come back in 2 weeks? What will we be discussing?
Just stay tuned. That's all. Just show up. Pay your dues and show up.
All right. I like it. Okay. Hey. So
I'd
yeah,
like to extend something.
that's Sister Diane.
Yes.
You up next. Let me
Oh,
just
I'm sorry.
so yeah, first vice president is just saying stay tuned. We've got some things, as I said. This is the last day that we will be functioning as we've known to function. March, you will see a brand new Division 421, and part of that will be some things that we need to discuss, some proposals that we need to discuss that our first vice president is working on. Thank you. Well, I said first vice president. Our vice president in training is working on. All right. Sister Diane, anything would you like to give a report for our first lady vice president?
Just a very brief one. Sorry about that. I forgot the order. Just want to say peace, love, and race first to everyone. Like Lady President, wanted to also extend a warm welcome to all the new members. Not much to report. Just wanted to say that I am securing a spot in Macon, Georgia. Spoke with the owner. The name of the place is Homeland Village, and if any of you have ever had an opportunity to visit, the place is really cool. It's got like they're big on Marcus Garvey. They've actually got a picture of John Henry Clark, Marcus Garvey, a lot of our leaders on the building. So when you pull up, you'll see a big picture of a lot of our leaders on the outside of the building, and very Afrocentric. But anyway, I have connected with the owner about securing. So far, we've discussed either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday to do a Marcus Garvey recruiting meeting. So I'm not sure if it's just going to be once a month or if it's going to be every week. We haven't really discussed that yet. His hands are full, so you don't want to get tied up with too much more. But as far as allowing me the place to do the meetings and stuff like that to focus on recruitment, he's pretty much given me the okay. So which reminds me tomorrow, Brother John, if you could bring some of the brochures at our meeting tomorrow, I'll have those to be able to distribute.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah, yes. When you show up when we go to the agree on Tuesday to bring some brochures.
Yes, ma'am. I got you.
But other from that, I look forward to a wonderful year. I look forward to more new members, and yeah, race first.
Race first. Thank you, First Lady Vice President. Please keep that in your forefront as far as the Macon space. And I would like to, hopefully we can flush out some discussion at our March executive meeting. The March executive meeting will have a pretty big agenda, but I don't want to overlook or miss out on any of these ideas because they are definitely in line with what I'm thinking. And recruiting and growing, expanding, that's foundational. So please keep that. Don't let us forget that, Sister Diane. But I will definitely bring those brochures on Tuesday.
Thank you. Race first.
Race first. All right. Let me just do a brief roll, just to check. Treasurer Ross Marvin, not present, correct? Okay. First Vice President, Brother Macias, is absent. And Second Vice President, Brother Kimwardo, is also absent. Okay. Okay. We'll keep it moving. Brother Cornelius, are you with us today? Brother Cornelius here. Thought I saw his name. No.
He signed off.
Okay.
Yes.
Attorney Motep, do you want to chime in on behalf of our Counsel General and Legal Defense Committee?
Yeah, yes. Thank you. Race first.
Race first.
Yeah, nothing new really to report. I've been busy, as you have been busy, with the national headquarters
Sure.
restoration, and we're the funding here, this fundraiser, and we're the legal aspects of securing those who contribute to the fundraising will have to have a security interest for their funding. So that's what I've been working on here, and the HEC is working to approve and make certain our interests are protected here. And of course, everyone who contributes is doing an important job in securing the functionality of the international headquarters. So I would just want to encourage everyone to contribute where they can. And basically that's what I've been doing here mainly for the last 6 months or so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Race first.
Race first. Thank you, Attorney Motep. Letting our people know, we're not just a bunch of enthusiastic contributors. We are thinking this through. We are reaching out to our experts in their field. So we are seeking legal counsel as we go through this process to make sure we are doing things the right way. So definitely appreciate your input, your attendance, and sharing with the family what we're doing behind the scenes from a legal perspective. Okay, we will keep it moving. Mama Mina, see you in here. You want to share anything from an elder coordinator perspective? From a sister. Where's elder at? Mama Mina, you there? Okay, Mama Mina is not available. We'll keep moving. Got a couple more officers. My brother James, I saw him yesterday. I do want to kind of I'll come back to Brother James. While Brother Art, is there anything that you would like to share with the family from a recording secretary standpoint?
Greetings, family.
Greetings.
We missed a couple of whirlwind newsletters. Stuff just got behind, and we're working on it. We'll be up and have it going real soon. Race first.
Thank you, Brother Art. Race first. Yes, those newsletters that is our propaganda. We had a discussion a little while ago about what we can do in our time and how we can be successful and help to grow. And one of the things that we realized was one of Mr. Garvey's tools was propaganda. And our propaganda, our Negro world of today would be our Whirlwind newsletter. So we definitely have to make sure we have a focus on that. And we are contributing to make sure that is successful. I'm trying to see, why can't I make this larger?
And I just want to give a comment. Actually give like a shout out to the Whirlwind newsletter team. Like y'all have really been putting in the work and actually dedicating the time, like long hours in. So I just want to just give and my kudos to y'all and just send my love to y'all because that's keep doing the work. So big ups to y'all. Thank you. Gratitude.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So yeah, and also if anyone would like to contribute or help or has any experience in or would like to learn about editing a newsletter, what is it called? Yeah, it's just a newsletter. It's an email newsletter. But if you'd like to learn or help, please reach out to us. From a brother James standpoint, this is our youth coordinator, brother James, also a renowned author of youth books. He was out yesterday at it's a library on South Fulton, but it's a recap to Black History Month. He was sharing his books with the youth, and again, his books. These ain't no play books. These are some serious revolutionary books. First book to the youngest audience is a book called "Teach Me About Garvey." The next book to the next grade group would be "Teach Me About Malcolm." So I don't know. I can't. He could tell you the grades and things like that. And then this is more of approaching middle school age book. It's Red, Black, and Green. Tell me what it means. So he is on the forefront, sharing this information with our youth, educating our youth. I was able to attend the event yesterday. I don't know if I got a picture of myself. Yeah, I was able to attend the event yesterday. This was my first time being in an event space with brother James as he's doing his thing, and I'm gonna tell you we got the best youth coordinator in all of the UNIA. He pulls no punches. As he was reading the book, Teach Me About Garvey. No, Teach Me About Malcolm. And this is a group of, like I said, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, up to probably 15-year-olds, but all that entire range. And telling it like it is. Malcolm's father was killed. That was one of the first things that he said, and he's saying this to a group of young people, and it caught me off guard. I'm like, hold on, wait, is that for this type of audience? But then he came back again and repeated it, and it's in the text. If Malcolm's father hadn't been killed, what would his life have been? So, my point is, he writes children's books, but he gives the truth, the unadulterated truth. And this is exactly, I feel, what our youth need. This would have helped accelerate my progression, I think, if I had a brother like Brother James when I was a young man. But at any rate, we got to do what we can do in our time to make things better for the next generation. And Brother James is definitely on the task, boots on the ground, on the forefront, educating our youth and our children. So I just wanted to share that. I know he's not here today. He works at night, but I did see him yesterday. And he sent his regards, and I just want to let y'all know he is still doing the work for our
people. Do you have a link for his books?
That is a great question. And yes, I'm gonna find a link if I don't have one. So give me one moment and I will pull up the link for that. While I get the link for Brother James's books, Sister Cicely, are you there? And I know you are, still new and still getting going, but I do want to give you the opportunity to share as our arts and culture coordinator in training. Is there anything that you would like to share with us? Is she there? Cicely? Sister Cicely, you there?
Hey.
And if you don't want to share anything, that's fine. But we just want to acknowledge you. And is there anything that you foresee as far as arts and culture that would be beneficial for us as a organization?
I'm still getting all my visions and plans together, but I'm happy to be here, and thank you guys for welcoming me. and looking forward to doing great things.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sister Cicely. We very happy to have you, and you know you're an example of what we talk about. You found interest in what we were doing at during a Dr. Umar event in Black Wall Street. I've never even met this sister, Lady President. I'm not sure if you met her either, but she saw one of our brochures on the table, um, read it, it resonated with her. She reached out to us, found out when we were having meetings, how we were having meetings. She got all of that information. Within her first or second meeting, seeing what was going on, seeing that there were some needs within the organization, she stepped up immediately, said, "Hey, I see you don't have arts and culture coordinator. I'd like to fill that role." And
I'm sorry, President. Is my Sister Cicely, are you the sister with the red curly fro?
Oh no, I have a short little fro, but my hair's black right now, girl.
Oh, okay. I thought I seen you at the Wall Street event, but I was just about to say I'm just grateful for when I have sisters that are coming to the division, because that we have a lot of men who are here and they are very, diligent. They are very insightful. I love my men, don't get me wrong, but we do need more sisters on the table to bring that nurturing, to bring that other side of it that's, that's impactful, that Garvey knew that was important too. You know what I'm saying? That's why he had two wives named the same thing. He probably just seen some old, something magical in both of them. But at the same time, it is important that we have our sisters here. And I'm so happy that, the spirit of Garvey brought you here, Sister Cecily, to the, to the team. So welcome, and welcome everybody else too. Sister Dila, I haven't met you either. Welcome here. I haven't met Sister Dila. I don't know if she's been here for a while with us, but I want to welcome you too. And I hope that you stay involved as well as everybody else. We have, of course, Sister Diane, we got her last year and she's been involved, so much. Thank you, Sister Diane, for your time and your efforts as well. So I just want to give a shout out to my sisters on this call. And I just want to, Sister Mina, she's been here, of course, for, she's one of our elders or whatever, and she's been holding us together as the rock. So I'm just very appreciative of my sisters here in division. I hope we just keep growing together as a sisterhood. So really looking forward to that. So all right, thank you, Sister Cecily, again.
and
Yeah.
to echo Lady President, thank all of our sisters, and thank you as well, Lady President, for your leadership. I am very excited about the future of Atlanta, and the future of our division, and the future of the UNIA as a whole. But I know that what we are doing here in Atlanta is going to be a major part of what the UNIA looks like in the future. And the sisters, we definitely need you. Brothers as well, we need y'all. But I want to thank everyone for being a part of this, for coming, for being here at the meeting, for contributing, paying dues, making contributions, making donations, and officers for stepping up. So I think, does that complete our officers report? Were there any officers that did not get a chance to share? Okay, well, as we close out our officers,
one thing I'd say too, whenever we get our youth section underway, I know we hadn't really come up with a date for that, but I mean, we've already got a curriculum in Brother James' books. I mean, it's there. We start out there and the books are there. So I was just, as we were talking, I was thinking, wow, we've got a curriculum book that we can use already.
Yes, absolutely. Again,
I'm sorry, President. I don't mean to interrupt. I made a mention earlier about the Tony Martin. The topic was Tony Martin's wife, and she does have when we were having discussions about our youth program and all that stuff like that. I found that book. That book is $100. I mean, I'm not saying that for anything, but that's like $100 book though. That's a very expensive book. So I hope the content of the actual book is like potent as as the price. But yeah, that's definitely exciting news. I just want to mention that. But yeah, rest.
Thank you, Lady President. Thank you, Lady President. So, Sister Diane, what did you finish your point? I kind of got
pretty much, but sometimes I find that to be the case with books that are important. They're crazy pricey, like somebody doesn't want us to put our hands on them or something, but maybe it's just in my head. I notice like when you search on Amazon, like I'll hear somebody mention a really important book pertaining to, Black people, Black culture, Black awareness, all that stuff, and then it'll be astronomically priced. I was like, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, Sister, I see we spoke up, Brother James. Brother James looks like he just joined us. Brother James, you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, we were just kind of wrapping up our officers' reports. I highlighted to our membership the event that you had over the weekend at the library. Then Brother Malik brought up the question of your website. So that's how we got to your website. So anything that you would like to share with the family in regards to the weekend or youth coordinator, your books, anything you want to share?
Yeah, well, first, again, I appreciate you, Brother President, for showing up yesterday. And I understand it was last minute, so I understand a lot of people couldn't make it. Still, I'm glad you showed up. But yeah, I'm really just making my Black history rounds. I've been visiting a lot of different schools, and what a lot of the schools have actually been buying them. I've been buying a lot of them in bulk, so which is a good thing. But it's just, the more I engage with these children, these students, and the faculty and parents and so forth, the more evident it is for the need for these books. Our children are not really, as we all know, they're not really presented with information from an African-centered perspective, let alone a Garveyite perspective. And, when we do discuss these books and the subject matter around it, all it does is ignite their minds. And one school I went to last week, it's out in College Park. I was talking to a group of fifth graders, and the lady was letting me know that they were a more, unruly bunch. But I didn't have not one person who wasn't focused during that interaction. And it's because of the subject matter I'm introducing, Garvey, Malcolm, and so forth. And I'm introducing them from our type of perspective. And I really obligate our youth, and these books obligate our youth back to Africa and back to that do for self mentality, which is something else that isn't given to them. So it just really helps put things in context and perspective for them. And tomorrow this week I'll actually be at a few different schools. I think one is Slater, T.H. Slater is right over there off Pryor Road. And then I'll be at one Usher Collier. It's on the west side off of Harwell Road. Then Wednesday, I actually have another read. And it'll be Wednesday morning. I don't know why the public library booked it like this, but it'll be at the Central Library downtown. I'll get that time and send it out to anybody who may be able to attend that one. But I think it's more of a story time type of thing. So I'm just making my rounds, but my message and, what I want to get across to everybody is if you have children in your lives, children, grandchildren, niece, nephews, it's imperative that they have this type of literature in their possession and at their disposal. Because, after I leave from these places, they don't hear about that again. They don't hear about Garvey again or Malcolm again. Most people won't run across them unless they're doing diligent YouTube researches or something, or a Google search, or happen to end up in a college and take a African Center class. And that's a shot in the dark. So if you have youth in your lives, please make sure that they have the books. And I actually have a code for the UNIA where you get it's a free shipping code, if you're not local. I don't know if it's a free shipping code, it may be a percentage off. It's usually I think it's $5 off the order, but I'll put that in the chat here in a minute. And to those who are not in the chat, I'll send it through the group text. But that's all I have, Brother President.
Thank you, Brother James. And as I told the family, and I told you yesterday, I love what you're doing. You are setting an example, not only for our people at large, but for our leadership. It's not always, it doesn't always have to be a drawn out discussion as to what needs to be done or how we need to do it. Sometimes we have to show how it needs to be done and how we need to do it. And you are a great example of showing us how to do that. So I appreciate you, my brother.
Brother President, I just want to say one last thing. You also ignited a lot of curiosity around the division yesterday as well. Sister she messaged me yesterday after it was over, wanting more information about joining. And I given her the email, and I didn't give her the site. But anyway, so as time goes on, and I'm able, the events that I do, especially outside, anything, we'll all talk, especially Lady President, Sister Rye Ebony. I need to get with you as well, but it's a lot of these events that I'm doing with the youth that I really feel we can ingratiate our division into it as well, incorporate our division into it as well. So I wanted to let you know that as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brother James. Yeah, I didn't realize it until yesterday, but there, it's a natural dynamic, children and parents, so while Brother James is working with the children, educating the children, the parents want to know, hey, what is this UNIA? What is the history and the legacy of Mr. Garvey? And is there any anything going on in modern time? And that's where we as the UNIA, we have to step in and provide those answers and those resources for the parents. But it's a natural organizing opportunity. And Brother James, again, I can't commend you enough for the work that you're doing.
Absolutely. And I had to just chime in on that. To you, Brother James, this is like, I just got a round of applause, brother. Round of applause, brother. This is beautiful work. You know what I'm saying? As a Garveyite, as your Lady President, and as a mother. As a mother of sons, you know what I'm saying? This is very important. Like, this is one of the topics that I'm kind of taking to HEC with me. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we encourage in our youth. You know what I'm saying? Instead of all of the other stuff, what are we instilling? So I just want to just you, Brother James. Race first.
Race first. All right. We don't, thank you, Brother James. We're getting ready to move from our officers portion. Any questions, comments before we move to member share?
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment if I can, or a suggestion.
Go ahead, Brother Kamal.
Yeah. First of all, greetings, Brother James, my favorite author. And I was gonna, as I was listening to Sister Cecily, and I liked how the women's auxiliary is starting to, meeting and hopefully gel and come together and build, upon the legacy, with the UNIA as well as the male, auxiliary. But I was listening to the art and culture coordinator, and I was thinking maybe, I don't know what the legal or whatever the rules may be, Brother James or the the brother attorney may be able to get more into it, but I was thinking it would be interesting to have like a story hour. If because I have about 20 children's books on the Garvey movement. But James is the best one of all of them, hands down. But if there were to be a story time on YouTube where someone could say, hey, boys and girls, this is, UNIA story time. Let's talk about Marcus Garvey, the man, or something. And then we're going to go through the book page by page, show the pictures, read the story out loud. I don't know if there's any kind of legal, things that someone will say copyright infringe or whatever. I don't know. But if that's possible, that may be an idea that, the system may want to consider, having to use that medium to reach out to the youth, and other schools, independent schools, maybe home, schooling institutions might want to use that clip, that YouTube clip in order to share with the children. And I was going to say also, flood every school you can with all the Garvey books you can until they know something other than Dr. King. But no disrespect for Dr. King, but it seems like that's the only thing we ever study. And so if the libraries are flooded, if the schools, if, every place we go, they see 20, 30 Garvey books, and eventually children going to start asking, why don't I do a report on Mr. Garvey?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I do this, that, and the other? So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there while we was on the subject.
Okay, let me ask our author. I think he'd be the best one because Brother Kamal, you're talking about us as a division reading Brother James's texts on social media and promoting the classes or sessions that way. Is that correct?
Yeah, kind of like a story time for those who want to know about Marcus Garvey, and they can see some of the pages, and kind of like an audio book, but it's a visual, a multimedia audio book, or I guess the video version of story time, kind of like Sesame Street or whatever. You ain't gotta have puppets and stuff, but have someone in nice African clothing, and maybe a African red, black, green flag in the background, and come and read the book, and give people a taste of the material. Anyway, just something I'm just thinking of. I ain't thought it all the way through, but
I got
just
you.
as a possible suggestion. Yeah,
I got you. Let me throw that to the author, Brother James. What do you think about that approach?
I would need some more information. So basically, you saying, oh, what's up, Brother Kamal? I'm glad to see you. Race first, brother. So basically, would this be more so like from the division Facebook, or is this something that would be uploaded to YouTube? How would it go? Because I mean, I don't see a problem in that. I really don't see a problem in that. Now it becomes an issue like if it becomes something like for monetary gain, then that would warrant a different discussion. But I mean, just something simply reading from our page, or even if it's uploaded to YouTube, I don't see a problem with it. Some others have uploaded themselves reading the book onto YouTube. But if it's not for monetary gain, I don't have a problem with it. And if y'all wanted me to do it, whatever your idea is around it,
it could be
let me know.
It could be done in the manner how we're doing this meeting. We just pick a day for the youths, and you could even run it, and we'll do it the way we're doing the meeting, and just have the parent enroll the kids, and we read the book and things of that nature.
Yeah, that sounds good.
They need to buy the book, so they have the book to read along when you do the story night.
That's a good promotion.
Like a live reading without recording it, or something like that, maybe. Yeah.
That all sounds good to me.
Let's take that offline. Sister Diane, make a note of that in addition to the facility in Macon, because I think Lady President, or no, Sister Diane, you mentioned one of y'all, the youth curriculum and incorporating Brother James's books into our youth curriculum. So let's flesh that idea out and how to execute that. Any other questions, concerns, any questions for our officers before we move to member share?
Yes, I have a question. I saw when you were screen sharing, I saw something about the Aminala Griot Museum or something, and so I was wondering what is the relationship with UINC and that particular museum.
You were wondering the relationship between the UNIA and the Omanala Griot?
Yes.
We have a very good partnership with the Omanala Griot. Brother Kevin, the curator of the Omanala Griot, is an active dues-paying member of Division 421. Over the past 2 years, we have rented out the Omanala Griot on Tuesdays for the purpose of gatherings as well as our officers training. Very good relationship. We hope to continue that relationship for several years to come.
It's our Liberty Hall, actually.
Ooh, look at you. I'm over
And
here.
we'll be there this Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah, it is as Lady President said, It is effectively our Liberty Hall for Division 421. That's how important that facility and that relationship is. Does that answer your question, Sister Adila? Sister Adila, you on mute if you said anything.
Oh, yes. The UNIA-ACL. What does the ACL stand for?
African Communities League.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That is effectively our business or economics focus of the UNIA is handled under the African Communities League. That's where a lot of our business endeavors take place.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions, comments, concerns for our officers? Greetings, President Ross Marvin. We see you. If you would like to share anything, please let us know. If you're still getting set up, that's fine as well.
Greetings, President Ross.
Yes, greetings, family. How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Yeah,
Thanks,
jumping in real quick on the meeting and thing, you know.
Yes, sir.
So just listening in out of the country in Jamaica, but everything going good. And y'all see me before the week is out.
Beautiful, beautiful. Good to hear from you as always. Just for your insight, we have not forgotten the focus of March executive meeting. I am anxiously waiting for that executive meeting. Have not been excited for an executive meeting this much since I've joined. So we all should know as officers our responsibilities, and if we don't, I'll make it clear. When it comes time for our March executive meeting, we need to be able to show that we have written out the responsibilities of our office in our own hand. So myself as president, I need to write out that office, and all of us as officers of the executive body, we are also responsible to write out the responsibilities of the executive body. So first Saturday in March 2nd, we got homework to turn in, and that'll be the first thing that we discuss is making sure that we all can look at each other and say, yes, I have done this, and yes, I know my responsibilities, and yes, I know what I'm accountable to. So that's the fundamental component. Let me jump over really quick. So a couple things this is to wrap up the officers portion. It's a couple things that I've got agenda items. Bylaws is number one. Our fundraiser, international headquarters fundraiser, raffle tickets for that. I would like, I'm expecting each officer to be responsible for 50 raffle tickets. HEC planning, so that's coming up. We need to get with our first vice president and solidify how many people will be going to HEC from Division 421. Right now, we're looking at a van that can take about 7 people. If we need to get another one, we need to know that ahead of time. The cost would probably be, we're looking at somewhere, I'll say $400. It'll probably be less than that, closer to $200, but prepare to expend $400. If you have $400, then you'll have more than enough for this trip. So that'll be HEC in April. And also Constitution and resolutions. As Lady President said, once February is finished, this coming Tuesday, we will go over the final lesson of the course of African philosophy, the 5-year plan. Next Saturday, oh my goodness. Yo, we got exams next Saturday and executive meeting. So I don't know how that's going to work, but students, y'all got to be ready. Exams are next week. and then future programs. So Sister Diane, what you mentioned with Macon, Brother Malik, the proposal that he has, but any other future programs that we need to discuss. This is what I have for the tentative agenda for our March executive meeting. So questions, comments, anybody, before we move to member share?
Yes, I have a question. which is, I heard you say students and in reference to getting ready for a test. What is that about?
Great question. So, as we said, the members that are joining now or becoming involved now, you're in a very special moment. Yes, this is a transition time for our leadership. Mr. Garvey, as we said with when we were talking today, we were talking about Dr. Tony Martin. We were talking about Dr. Tony Martin, and he edited a text called "Message to the People: The Course of African Philosophy." Mr. Garvey, or it is explained in this text that this was the training course for leadership to carry on the work of the UNIA after Marcus Garvey's transition. In Division 421, this has been a fundamental component to our officer development, especially in the last 3 years. So for the last 3 years, we have had a 6-month course study of the course of African philosophy. So starting in September, every week on Tuesday, we go through at least one lesson of this course. So we've been doing this since September. February, at the end of February, we will complete it. That will be a complete 6 months, and then we'll have an exam. This is specifically for the officers of Division 421. This is not a requirement for ordinary membership. For ordinary membership, there is a general orientation that is provided out of our New York division. Currently, they're in the process of restarting that. So we just finished a session sometime, I want to say in November. We finished a session, and they'll start another one probably in March or April. But what you heard is the culmination of Division 421 officers training, a 6 months course. We have an exam that we will undergo to validate our comprehension of Message to the People Course of African Philosophy. But that is what that is about. It's officers examination. We've got as a matter of fact, brief shameless plug just for our sisters and everyone's further edification. Bear with me, give me 10 seconds. So we were talking a little bit about YouTube and social media. We have a Division 421 YouTube page. And some of our most recent videos, one of our most recent videos is our session from last week. We titled that Mass Meaning: The Importance of Marcus Garvey's School of African Philosophy. So this is a 3-hour video. We probably spend maybe an hour and a half on what the course of African philosophy is and why it's important, but that'll give you a better understanding of what our officers are being prepared to have an examination on. Just Adila, does that answer your question?
Yes, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Not a problem. All right. With that, if there aren't any, does that satisfy everyone so we can move to membership? To make sure all concerns, questions are answered. We are a very transparent group and organization. We do not shy from any questions or concerns. All right. With that, we will move to membership. And brothers, we know we have to be good listeners, and we allow our sisters to share first. So let me go through. Well, Sister Adila, would you like to be our first sister to? Well, Sister Adila, is this your first time on the meeting? I'm sorry.
This is my first time on the meeting. I must have put my name on a list because I'm on the email list. And so I get email telling me about different meetings. And today I hopped on. And so yes, this is my first meeting, but it's not my first time knowing about Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. I'm a retired teacher in Atlanta's African Centered Schools here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so I'm still involved with the teaching of the truth to our youth. And I've used lessons and made curriculum on Honorable Marcus Garvey when I was teaching.
Okay.
So, but this is my first meeting tonight. And
Okay.
I'm very glad that I came.
We are very glad that you are here with us. We really appreciate it. I guess member share is anything that you want to share, and if you want to consider what you just did to be your member share, that's fine as well. But anything that you would like to discuss, whether anything that we discussed in the meeting, anything outside of the meeting, anything in politics, anything international that you'd like to make sure that we as a body are aware of?
Yes, there's a infamous picture of Marcus Garvey, and he has on his military-like uniform with the hat plumes. And I heard tonight that the plumes were in reference to my aunt. But right next to him, he's sitting in an open convertible like car, and right next to him is another brother, and he just has on a regular suit and hat. And I was wondering who was that, his lieutenant, or who was this guy?
Brother,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Greetings. Yeah, that was the Reverend Junius Caesar Austin. He was the keynote at the 1922 speech of the convention, the International, Convention of Negro Peoples of the World. But
Okay.
yeah, he was the keynote. That's why Mr. Garvey was riding with him. And in the front, I think it was, a couple of officers. One was Captain Gelp, and I think the other one, I don't know if you can identify them, but the other one was, I forget his brother's name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, he was another officer. He didn't last for so long, but he was from New Orleans. But yeah, that's a famous photo that sometimes people unfortunately confuse with Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And, Reverend Junius Austin was probably one of the most notable preachers in the country at that time, from Chicago, known as the dancing preacher. If you know any history about gospel music and the Dorseys, he's the one that brought Tom Dorsey into the church and, basically converted his form of music into that of the church music and, the modern gospel music, explosion came out of that. But yeah, anyway, he was a staunch supporter of Mr. Garvey and came out. So anyway, that's a historic photo I love.
Yes. Thank you, Brother Kamal, for that insight.
Yes, thank you for that insight. And that's it for my contribution. I did have one other thing. I am an active member of another organization called Black Achievement Fund. It's a
We're in partnership with them too.
Sister Dealer, you went on mute.
Yeah, so I heard someone say that we could collaborate. But yes, and one of the things that I did notice was last year at the Juneteenth in the park, we were next to your table, and you had that big black, red, and green flag waving. I mean, when I see that flag, it just fills me with so much joy. But yeah, y'all's table was right next to ours, so I just wanted to point that out.
Yes, ma'am. I remember that was 2 years ago, but I remember
Yes.
Brother Arkey.
Yes.
When I was able to meet Brother Arkey for the first time. So.
Right. Okay.
And yes, we, as Lady President said, we definitely have a partnership. We have a relationship and a partnership with Black Achievement Fund, and we do need some support from yourself, as well as on our side, but maintaining that relationship, knowing,
Yes.
when you guys have any events going on, please promote that with us. If we have any events going on, we will definitely promote with the Black Achievement Fund.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, sister. I just saw, and I do apologize, we do have a distinguished guest out of Baltimore Division 106, Sister Zafia, Dr. Zafia.
Greetings, one love, everyone.
Greetings, Dr.
All is well.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you.
One love.
Thank you. Gratitude. Just all is well up here in Maryland. Good to hear all is well down there in Georgia, holding down fort. And I just wanted to just give a brief plug in for the movie One Love.
Oh, yes.
I saw it last night. It's great.
I was in tears. I saw it twice. I'm going to see it again. A pivotal chapter in my life was in this love affair with Bob Marley's music and his lyrics and his inspiration rooted in Brother Garvey. The biggest quote from his song One Love was, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves
can free
our minds. And that is a quote from Marcus Garvey that he put to melody and popularized worldwide. And I just, the religious movement specifically that spun off from Brother Garvey's movement was the Rastafari movement, where he is seen as a prophet because he said one thing in a speech that look to Ethiopia, there will be a king crowned. And the next thing you know, the BBC was showing Haile Selassie, Rastafari being crowned. And those who knew that could not have been a coincidence. And they went on to found the Rastafari movement, whether my Brother Garvey agreed or not. It was just like, you don't even have to know that you're divinely influenced, Brother Garvey. We know. And so they went from there. And then in 1945, Robert Nesta Marley was born. By the 60s, according to the movie, by his teens, he and Rita had met and they were influencing each other within the Nyabingi branch of the Rastafari movement. And then his career took off in their 20s, their careers, because she was the way the children were very involved in this movie. And Ziggy Marley even gives a cameo at the very beginning to clarify this is our homage to our father. And the way they showed their parents, the way Ziggy showed his parents, he showed Rita and Bob side by side in the trenches, being real with each other, So it was very beautiful. So I wanted to give that plug.
Thank you, Sister Zafia.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you for that. Excellent.
It was lovely.
Yeah, we got to remember our brother Bob Marley, and maybe we can, I don't know, find a way to screen that for our members at some point. But something to keep in mind. Okay, thank you, Sister Zafia. Thank you, Sister Adila. We have a couple other sisters on the line. Sister Elizabeth Gordon. Sister Elizabeth, you there?
Oh, yes, President John, I'm here. I'm sorry that I arrived late.
You're fine. Anything that you would like to share with the family?
Not right now, but I'm still digesting the last meeting we had. It was so powerful. It was so filled with inspiration. It's still fresh in my head. Everything from A to Z. I enjoyed that meeting so much. I'm sorry that I came late. I wasn't aware there was a meeting today because I had other family issues that I was attending to. So it slipped my mind.
Okay.
But I regret missing out. I see you were presenting again some slides.
Yes.
I really love and enjoy this. And this is how we grow and this is how we learn, what we are doing so we can do it better. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Sister Elizabeth. That means a lot. And yes, Last time we met, we were talking about the importance of the School of African Philosophy, edited by Dr. Tony Martin. And tonight, 4 days after Dr. Tony Martin's birthday, we are honoring and acknowledging Dr. Tony Martin himself. So that's what tonight's meeting focused on, is Dr. Tony Martin, the editor of Message to the People Course of African Philosophy, and the authentic historian of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So it will be accessed on YouTube like the previous 3-hour meeting you showed us?
Yes, it'll take us about a week to go through it and do any editing that's necessary. Should be available sometime next weekend.
Thank you. I'll catch up on it there then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sister Elizabeth. Okay, were there any other sisters that did not get a chance to share before we move to our brothers?
Just one last thing,
Yes.
President John. I didn't receive the membership email from you to fill in the UNIA membership form.
If you don't mind, can you drop your email in the chat, please?
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. All right, I think that takes care of our sisters. And with that, we will move to our brothers. Okay, go like that. First brother we'll bring in, longtime supporter, one of the first members on the call all the time, Dr. Shams out of New York. Greetings, Dr. Shams.
Race first.
Race first, Dr. Shams.
Yes. First, I like to say that I like this coming month to be able to give a donation, sizable donation that I usually give, for the headquarters this time instead of just membership. Membership I might give at another time, but I want to make about the same size contribution to the headquarters. Also, I have reparations information on my website. Yes, and another thing we need to be mindful of is that we have to be ready with our international connections in case anything happens to us. And you know who, Trump, tries to shut us down if he becomes president. Also, I have a lot of links pertaining to our leader, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, on my Critical Scriptures link. You will go to the home link, you will go to Salvation Our God Unity, and on Salvation Our God Unity from the home link, you can find the Critical Scriptures link. It's to note that both our leader, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and our Moorish American prophet, Noble Drew Ali, are mentioned together in chapter 48 of the Moorish Holy Quran. Right. I also have Bob Marley's full album in my Twitter account as well. So it pays to go to my website these days because I'm constantly updating, adding information, not trying to be born with the same information always. I don't take away any information, but I'm always adding. My website is found on the internet at Not Helpful USA Legislations People.brainsites.com. That's 2 plurals. Not Helpful USA Legislations People.brainsites.com. And in case you want to send me any information, get in contact with me any other way, I'll leave my email first and phone number. My email is shams7saves@gmail.com. All this is in chat. At the top links, the first link's in chat. That's shams7saves@gmail.com. And also to reach me directly, you can phone me at 1917-500-1699. That's 1917-500 $16.99. Okay, last thing. We need to be aware of our laws of international United Nations rights and privileges that we have. And that's what my site is primarily built for. Also, I have updated United Nations link with some more links from the United Nations, and the unification of member nations are linked as well on my website. Please become familiar with both those links pertaining to our international community. And peace and race first.
Race first thing.
You muted, President, if you're talking.
Thank you. I think I muted as soon as I started talking. Thank you, Dr. Shams, for that information. And please put your, make sure you add your information to the chat for individuals to reach out and provide support.
Race first. It's in the chat at the top links. Just scroll up to the top links and it'll be there. I hope I have enough time to write down a few of those websites that's in there too, other than my own, you know, because they're pretty interesting too. And I do add other sites, other links to my site as well. Help make it more interesting and keep us unified. If people don't mind. Race first. Peace and race first.
Thank you, Dr. Shams. Race first. We'll keep it moving. We'll go over, I think we got 1, 2, looks like 3 additional brothers that have not had a chance to share. Next brother we'll go to Brother Andrew. Greetings, Brother Andrew. Brother Andrew, you there?
Hey, greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
All right, greetings, man. No, just chiming in, and due to the hour difference, I had missed the presentation on Tony Martin. So so the recording would be available when, in about a week, so you said?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But just you know, UNIA Division 421 on YouTube. We've been posting all of our mass meetings for the most part on YouTube week after they're produced.
Okay. And I'm regarding like our website. Is possible? You can tell me like the protocol for that again? How it is we can develop a website through the UNIA?
Say again?
Is it possible to develop a website through the UNIA?
A website through the UNIA?
Yeah.
Not,
you know, I don't know if that was for officers alone or regular members.
So the UNIA, no. Hold on, UNIA.
Or CBPM.
Yeah, that's the CBPM criteria.
Okay. All right then. All right. All right, nice. I appreciate it, Dr. Brother John.
Yes, sir. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Brother Andrew. In regards to web page, since it was discussed, this is coming up slow. All right, here we go. The only website that you have from a UNIA standpoint, locally, we have authority to create our own Division 421 web page, and that's something that we've discussed. We had access to that through the CBPM. But from a parent body leadership standpoint, UNIA-ACL government.com will take you to the parent body website. And I'll drop this in the chat for everyone if they'd like to, you know, just briefly peruse our parent body website.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you, Brother Andrew. Next brother we'll go to Brother Brian. Greetings, Brother Brian. Brother Brian, are you there? Brother Brian, are you there? Okay.
Peace, brother. Yeah, I'm here. Greetings. Were you just saying, do I have any comments or anything like that?
Yeah, this is member share. So anything that you'd like to share with the family. No, it doesn't have to be on any particular topic.
Okay. Yeah. Just thankful for us communing together and putting our race first. Coming up with a great plan. So I'm just listening and participating with the family here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Appreciate everything though.
Not a problem. We see you, Brother Malik. Race first. Appreciate you being here. Okay, and I think that brings us to Brother Kamal. You get the last word of the membership.
Okay. Appreciate that, my brother. First I wanted to say that the name I was looking for was James Benjamin Yearwood, was the driver in that historic photo with Reverend Austin and Captain Gelp and Mr. Garvey in 1922. Lieutenant Yearwood. Anyway, I get into that later. But also, I was wondering if anyone happened to know who the authors of the UNIA pledge was. Has anyone ever questioned it or explained who and when that was written?
It was a woman, President.
Was that?
It was a woman. It was a sister of the UNA.
I'm not sure.
I believe it was a sister.
The pledge, I commit my body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure as to who the author was. To my understanding, I thought that had come about more recently after Garvey's transition. That's the only thing I remember.
You're right. 71. Yeah, it was during the reconciliation conference that two UNIAs that came together and tried to produce something. I remember two of the writers. I forgot the third, but two. Yeah, it was all three women who wrote the pledge, and there's only one that's still alive. But yeah, there's and she's in North Carolina. But Wally Muji, former President General's wife, Noni G, was one of the authors, as well as Beulah McDonald Wesley, who longtime member, married to Howard Wesley, who was actually first assistant president under Mr. James and second assistant under Mr. Harvey before he died. But anyway, those two women were amongst the three that wrote it. But I don't think the thing about history is sometimes you don't know to question it or think about it much. So being that the ladies were on the line, I wanted to let them know that, the ladies always made a definite contribution to our story, even though they sometimes get whited out of the history books. But, we thank them for that contribution. And I just leave with the thought, I guess, one of Mr. Garvey's quotes, 400 million Negroes will redeem Africa or explain to God the reason why. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Kamal. As always, you have an insight that is very unique and rare, and is much needed. So we always appreciate any time that you are able to join us and help us to understand some of this history, put these pieces together. Were there any members that did not get a chance to share? I do have a brief word before we close. Anyone did not get a chance to share? Okay. Only thing that I've got is just a reminder for our brothers and sisters. Today is February 25th. Our brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Minister Farrakhan are celebrating their most holy day of the year. Dr. Shams, I think and we've mentioned this, for our Moorish brothers and sisters, their holy day is early in January. It coincides with the birth of Noble Drew Ali. Our brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam, their celebration coincides with the birth of Fard Muhammad, who is considered in the Nation of Islam the savior to our people. But we're not, you know, just a reminder, last time we met, it was February 11th, and the big thing that was going on that day was Super Bowl, you know, and we still had a good showing for our meeting, but we just have to, again, as Mr. Garvey said, canonize our own saints, create our own martyrs, and honor our own people. So if we can, you know, put a lot of effort behind, you know, European Super Bowl, we should put just as much, if not more, effort behind the gatherings for our people. And the best way to think of Savior's Day, this is like Garvey Day in the Nation of Islam. So please tune in to Brother Farrakhan's message for this year. NOI.org would be a direct site, and I'm sure they will have information on his message on YouTube very soon. But wanted to acknowledge and give credit to our brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam that are still doing the work, especially Brother Minister Farrakhan, and let them know that, you know, we have not forgotten about them, and we are in support of their efforts to bring about righteousness for our people globally. So that's all I got. With that, we will close out, and I'm going to stop the recording here, and we'll do the national anthem as an official close.